Hi folks, you're with Tacit at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about how NGO groomed activists are being remarkably successful in entering various areas of law and Department of Justice type thing, government primarily, not so much in the private sector, but how they're able to enter these positions in departments of justice as clerks, lawyers, advisors, committee members, quangos that are part government funded. How they get into courts as judges and law clerks and so on. And it's true. So there was one sort of, I noticed a quote from somebody who'd posted on a forum, and they had their position, which I don't think is appropriate. If they're such a radical activist, then in my view they shouldn't be working in a position in government where they make an oath that they'll be impartial and all that sort of thing. So they should be fired immediately, in my view. But anyway, I went to. It's not hard to find people online and even find their CVs. People are strangely want to be very public about their background and the work they've done, employment history, hobbies, all sorts of things. I think that's really odd. But anyway. So having a look, and I noticed this person had spent quite a bit of time during their college years or senior high school years and college years, and even while they were sort of an intern, that type of thing, working for and being associated with this very radical NGO, this NGO that's to overturn the world order and this sort of thing. Now, given how radical this NGO is and how very political they are, how they're able to maintain their tax-free status as a charity is way beyond me. Because if you donate money to them, it's tax deductible, and without that tax deductibility, that would completely change the economic landscape of or economic structure rather of this NGO. According to the law, if you're politically active, you can't also claim to be a charity. Now, there's definitely crossover there, but some of the the Salvation Army, as an example, they were pretty politically neutral. They may put out press releases of it's terrible how many homeless or hungry people there are, things like that, but they wouldn't directly get into politics. But now they are, and pretty much every hitherto charity is now an NGO, a politically active NGO. But the ones at the very apex of the activism, the ones that are pushing for global mass migration or the climate change stuff and so on, they're at the apex of that radicalism, and they do a very thorough job of not simply creating radicals, but selecting the sort of people that will be susceptible to that radical message. They're quite good and very cynical, by the way, at that. Young angry girl, low IQ from a divorced household. Mum's had a succession of boyfriend, never been able to make a relationship work, that sort of thing. And then the girls have been brought up in that. They're already very angry, bitter about the world, bitter about the situation, and they're really the cannon fodder that these NGOs get. Hey, do you know why you're so bitter and angry? You know why? It's not your fault. It's your fault. It's those damn fucking fascist Nazis did it. It's them. They did it. They made you feel this way. They made this happen to you. Hitler! And that's why. So what you need to do, and we're going to help you do this, we're going to help you fight back against these people, to teach them a fucking lesson, so you can put them on the ground, put your foot on them, crush them like they tried to crush you. Hitler, Nazi, fascist. And they really radicalize these young kids to sort of think that way and behave that way. How you can beat the man? You get out there and you wave a placard and you scream at any straight white guy that goes by, and that'll teach those motherfucker Nazis. And these, particularly the young girls, they go down for this stuff like a sack of shit. And and then once they're radicalized and they're very successfully radicalized them, they've lost all capacity for reasoning. All their reasoning power is gone. And if you, there are some boys caught up in, but not as many as the girls. And if you query one, and why did you, say the daughter or son or whatever of a friend, and they're 19 or 20, and so, where have you been? I went to a demonstration about. Well, what was it about? I don't really know, or not really sure. Well, why did you go? I got a text from a friend saying it was really important that I go, but I just went, but I didn't really know why. And okay, why would you go? Just because you had a text from someone who said it's important you should go? Oh, well, and they don't really know. They're so vague. And what would motivate someone? Do they have nothing better to do? Were they hoping to go to some protest and they hope to get laid or something? I don't know. Like, what could possibly be the motivation to go? Oh, well, you want to save the planet, so you must have taken public transport. Oh, no, I took Mum's car and going there. I just want to. And I'm going on holiday on an airplane to go. And they've been to a climate change thing, and they've been driving cars. They want to go on airplanes. They want to do all the things that they're denouncing everyone else for. Don't you find that contrary? Oh, no, because it's bad when they do it, but not when I do it, because I'm pure of heart and all. Oh, fuck. So these young people are radicalized by the NGOs that, again, have a tax-free status. Any money you give them is tax deductible. I mean, that's a luxurious situation to be in. Not only that, but these radical NGOs also get a lot of work indirectly through the United Nations and various government organisations. They're getting masses of taxpayer money funneled into them through various front groups. Or they can be contracted to do all legal representation for, say, illegal aliens that are being deported, and they can get to do all the legal work for that. The NGOs, all the legal work for that, and being paid well above the card for that sort of work, well above the card. So this is something that really needs to be sort of understood out there. Now, in this legal sort of Department of Justice section, I noticed nearly everybody working there. And once you find a department, you can kind of find the people, and you can work through it. You can find the people, and they are nearly all from 2 or 3 NGOs. They've all got the same vanilla boilerplate sort of life. They go to the same couple of universities. They do the same NGOs. They've got the whole thing is sort of laid out for them. And if you sort of look around, you'll find that the student agitator organisers that are being paid by the United Nations to work at that university as an agitator and as a student organiser and talent spotter and all that sort of thing. So these are people who have been groomed, trained, and pointed at the task of destroying Western society and bringing down the evil Nazi patriarchy. And they haven't got a clue. They don't understand anything. But they're being given all sorts of jobs in as I say, judges and magistrates and junior magistrates, law clerks, all across this, and in government departments. So that you've got an entire advisory group on what to do about, say, alleged violence against women, who's contracting out work to these NGOs to say, well, we want a thing that says 99.9% of women are being beaten by their husbands or boyfriends or a male, straight male of any sort. And not a problem. We'll come up with that. Then they've got this bullshit thing where another lesbian gender studies academic will peer review the other lesbians. Often they're lovers. They're a couple, and that's not declared. And they peer review each other, and then the NGO will come out with a study. That study is then given, which is not a study. That study is then given to this working group in the Department of Justice, which is itself made up of angry lesbians that have been groomed and radicalised by the NGOs and through the gender studies machine. And then that's fed to government, politicians saying, well, this is what we need to do. I mean, it's an epidemic. It's an emergency. That 99.9% of women are being abused by men. We have to do something. It's a fucking emergency. There are Nazis everywhere. Ah, Hitler. And then you start to see legislation and laws coming out to address this non-existent emergency that's been completely invented by the activists who believe they're completely justified in doing it, because we have to make it sound much worse than it is, just so we can get action. But if even one woman, one in the whole world, in the whole universe, is being abused by her husband or boyfriend or something like that, then all women are abused. And that's how it works in the minds of these people. So it's utter and total eradication of what they perceive as this invented problem. But it's the, how is it possible that an entire department within this government, Department of Justice, an entire department has managed to bring in so many young female radicals that are all radicalized through the same system, through the same NGOs, through the same gender studies type classes. How are they able to do that? They, in just a hiring, you put out an advert and people apply, you interview, and that's how is it possible that they're accepting or hiring only one sort of person? Angry, primarily lesbian, but not all, just angry young women who have been told the only way to change the world is to crush the patriarchy, Hitler, and they believe that crap. They can't see past that ideological nonsense. So we're seeing these clusters of activists appearing all over the place. Now, if you wonder why is it that when, say, an illegal alien is going deported and somehow their case comes to court, or they're about to be deported, and then an NGO somehow finds out about this and is able to go to the person and that there's been a decision in a politician's office. Maybe the minister in charge of immigration or something has decided that the claims of this illegal alien are invalid and they have to be deported. Somehow, someone in that politician's office tips off the NGOs and their legal department, and so even though one day before the deportations to take place, suddenly there's a full legal team on the case, with all the documents prepared, all documents lodged in a court. Now, I've been through the legal process a number of times. I know how long these things take. You don't do it like that. It isn't that quick. And then they can get permission for an emergency hearing for the matter to be heard as a matter of urgency. Well, why? Because it's in the public interest. Well, how it is in the public interest? There's no fucking public interest here. So clearly there are activists in the politician's office working in concert with the Department of Justice activists, in turn in concert with the NGO's legal team, and then they're in concert with the law clerks in the court, who will agree to hear the case, saying it has great interest or great public interest and thus merit. And remember, this is all in a day. One day they can do this. They can have all the documents filed, and they can have the court accept that the matter will be heard as urgency. Again, there's a lot of activists had to be in place to do this, to tick the boxes and sign the forms off. This can happen, and then they get to the court, and somehow magically, they get a judge who is extremely pro illegal aliens and who grants them a stay or allows them to. Allows the illegal aliens to remain in the country and so on. Now, that takes a lot of activists in a lot of places to make all those doors and ducks line up. And again, to do it in 1 or 2 days, that's incredible. So we can see these activists, these radicalized NGO-trained, groomed activists, are positioned in all of these places: courts, Department of Justice, politicians' offices, NGO, all over the place. And they're able to pull off these things in astonishing quick time. The rest of us can't do that. An ordinary person just can't go get ice. It's an urgent matter. It's just not possible. So these people are given very, very favourable treatment. They've got access to all sorts of people and access to decision-making machinery that the rest of us don't have access to. And if we look at it, that's a real, that in itself is a usurpation of justice. It's an undermining of the legal system. It's an undermining of due legal process and the rule of law and the whole thing. So it's something we need to be aware of, and it's something we need to really consider. And when you're talking to your local politicians, say you want something to be done about it, this is not right. Everyone must be treated equally under the law. You've been with Tassos today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening. What's going